From the cheap seats in San Diego, California, this is the Friar Faithful Show, where we will be breaking down San Diego Padres sports. With Josh Taylor, Justin Smead, and Jason Eidsmoe, it's time to let your voice be heard. What's up, you Friar fanatics? This is the Padres off-season show. We're going to be talking a little bit about how they finished up last year. Going to break down the newest addition in Josh Johnson. First and foremost, Padres finished up 2013 with a 76-86 record, finished in third place in the National League West. Really had a strong outing at home at 45-36, but really struggled on the road with 31 wins. And 50 losses. That's going to have to improve if the Padres are going to compete not only in the NL West, but compete in a chance for a playoff spot.
I'm amazed. I just actually saw something come across the newswire. It's not Padre related. Prince Fielder is being traded to the Rangers.
Shut up. What?
I know there's a
breaking
Padre
news
cast.
from the San Diego Sports Monkeys. That's
okay,
awesome.
Back to the Padres.
Wow, we should have a breaking news alert. Breaking news.
The one thing that really killed us is that we had two really bad losing streaks. One, of course, right there by the All-Star break when everybody was talking about we're ready to make our move, and then we just went on this huge losing streak. And, of course, we started out the season really, really slow. And I know you can say, what ifs and all that good stuff, but had they been able to play 500 ball during those two times, we would have been in the running there at the end.
Right.
But the Dodgers got really hot when we got really cold. We're going to have to, it's real simple to say, we're going to have to avoid big, long losing streaks if we want to compete. We can't overcome stuff like that.
Yeah, and for me, watching this team is so frustrating. That they go through these times where they look like one of the best teams in baseball with their morale and their
chemistry.
Chemistry, change of pace, gameplay. They can run on you. They can play good D. They can get the timely hits. And then like you said, Jason, we go through these times where you get up there with bases loaded, no outs, and you can't get a run. Right. I can't tell you how many times we've seen that. So it's very frustrating being a Friars fan, and I think a lot to do with that too is a lot of injuries with the pitching staff. We were decimated by injuries last year, whether it was starting pitching or relief pitching or whatnot, bringing guys up all year long and kind of going, who's that guy?
It's funny as you talk about injuries. Somebody who has an injury history who actually was real strong last year. All last year was Andrew Kashner.
Yes.
Oh. God, the guy's a flat-out stud.
Well, he solidifies himself as a 1 or 2 spot rotation guy for years to come in this Padre rotation. I think we can all agree with this live fastball reaching about 100 miles an hour.
The only question for him is health.
Yes, if he can stay healthy and avoid those hunting accidents, he'll be fine, right? Stop cutting your fish.
Start cutting your
thumb off. Yeah, come on, man.
So, another big loss was losing Cabrera to that suspension.
Yes.
He was the catalyst of this team. When he went down, he was batting just under 300, was leading the world in stolen bases.
Our lead representative for the All-Star game.
Yeah, he was the catalyst of this team. He was the table setter. He was making, pitchers sweat bullets because they didn't know when this guy was going to go, how he was going to go, if he was going to steal 2 bases at once. The guy was nuts.
Yeah.
And then you take him out of the lineup, and it's hard to find that kind of speed, that dominant speed and production.
And your on-base percentage is key in baseball, obviously. You've got to get, like you said, set the table for the other hitters. When he went out of the lineup, it was like a balloon deflated on the whole team, and nothing could go right. We couldn't get on base. We couldn't produce. It was bad. You don't have that speed out there anymore. You miss a Cam Maven with speed. You miss an Everett Cabrera with speed. You miss those guys that can steal bases. Jed Jerko isn't expected to steal a bunch of bases for you. Leandro Alonso's got concrete blocks on his feet. So
right.
You just don't expect those guys to make plays for you. So the guys that you can rely on to make plays, they need to be out there. And this is why I'm so excited about the Padres' future. If a Cabrera can play like that, Headley can return to form. Jerko can play out lights out. I mean,
what is Headley's form? You say return to form. We've really gotten half of a season out of him of what we were expecting. Mm-hmm. Last year, I know he battled injuries. He had a lot of different injuries, and I want to say he finished relatively strong. Back when by the time it really didn't matter anymore.
Right.
But what is that's a really good question. What is the real Chase Headley?
We're all hoping that the real Chase Headley is 2012 version, obviously, when he was, an MVP candidate.
Right.
However, realistically, I think Chase Headley is about a 275 hitter, 20 home runs, 70 to 80 RBIs, realistically.
Which is not enough production out of third base, though.
But I think a lot of that has to the fact that he needs somebody to protect him, whether it's a healthy Quentin or a free agent pickup that we have somewhere in the lineup that can get Headley some more pitches because they'd rather pitch to him than pitch to the big bat.
You both bring up good points. You can't have that mediocre production from your third baseman.
No, that's
You're right.
Second baseman, catcher.
But what Josh is saying is also correct. You don't have guys in the lineup that are protecting. Jerko did that later on in the year. He got hot, but then Headley was cooling off by that time. So, I mean, he did. I think Headley went through if I remember right, a 2-week span where he was killing it. And then he just dropped off the table again. Yeah. So he really had his battles. Yes, he had the knee problem, the meniscus issue. He had I think it was the wrist.
The thumb or something.
Something with the hand. So, he was plagued by injuries. I think with Headley, you're getting a guy that plays solid defense. He really does. He can.
I think solid's not quite enough. I've never been a huge Headley fan. Of course, I like him because he's a Padre. Right. I think he's better than solid third baseman.
I think so, too. He's a gold glove type third baseman.
Meaning solid as in a good way. He's a very solid, outstanding third baseman. I think defensively he can make every play, every throw. Now, that he played that this year. He played pretty well. He had some errors, but they all do.
They all do.
It didn't translate over to the batting side of it, and he did struggle. So, I mean, I think what you said, he's in the 20 range of home runs, and I really think he'll be around a 280 hitter like he said. And that, for a third baseman like Jason touched on, I don't know if that's your prototypical major league, third baseman. You want more productivity out of that.
You'd like to see more productivity.
Yeah. And I think that will come if we have somebody around him that can produce.
Yeah.
Because the prior year in 2012, Alonso was leading all of baseball in doubles. I mean, he broke a Padres record in doubles. And you also had Amarista that was on fire. You had, I think, Denorfia that was on fire.
Is that the
you
year,
had guys batting around
Ludwig
him.
Too?
No, 2012.
Oh, that was 11.
No, that was 11.
I was going to say.
But I mean, you had these guys that were hitting at a high level, either in front or behind him. And when you have two guys, preferably three, but if you have two guys that are hot hitting back to back, it's pick your poison.
Right.
And we didn't have that last year. It was one guy getting hot and the rest of the team was cold for most of the year.
Well, I think what we've learned over the last couple seasons. Let's take what we've learned. You got a table setter in Cabrera, right? Okay. Now he's going to produce. I think he'll be around the 270 range, 280 range. He's going to steal a bunch of bases for you, right? That's more runs for us. He's not going to miss 50 games next year. Knock on wood. What do you have in your second baseman, your rookie second baseman, now going into a sophomore campaign? This guy, I think he's going to be a bona fide all-star here in the next couple of years, whether it's not next year. He should have been more in the consideration for Rookie of the Year, in my opinion. I think he was 8th or 9th he finished. Yep. That's BS to me. I really was pissed off by everybody in baseball for that, not taking a look at what's going on in San Diego. Anyway, that for sure for second base. Alonso's solid. He can get you. He's a doubles machine. He can hit for average. He can hit for power on occasion, so he can drive in runs. We know we have solid positions at each station. A catcher is going to be kind of in flux the next couple of years. We don't know if Grandal's going to be healthy. The new kid, Austin Hedges, is really making his way up through the minor league system. So
he's pushing the envelope for sure.
He's very much so, and we might see him mid-season. And I'm not kidding by that because people in baseball are saying it all the time. He's one of the best catchers they've ever seen come through the minor leagues. So defensively and offensively, the kid's a flat-out stud. I'm just going through the position. I'm just saying, look at what we have.
Right.
And looking at the whole outlet. I mean, what next year looks and just really grasping the whole team, I think we have a good shot at being a contender.
As the infield goes, I think we're very solid. From each position, I think we're very solid.
Awesome.
Defensively, I think offensively, we're very solid all the way around. The catcher spot is a question mark, but we have depth there. Like you said, you have Hundley, and I know how we all feel. We're not a big fan of Hundley. You have Grandal, and then you have Hedges coming up. Now, if Hedges, like you said, can be brought up, if he pushes the envelope early in the season and is brought up, now you have a decision of, okay, what of these three catchers, it's not going to be Hedges, so between Grandal and Hundley, do they become trade bait to bolster either your relief pen, your outfield,
right,
your bench, which is a good problem to have.
It is. Jason,
I'm interested in. I actually like Nick Hundley. I think he's a solid catcher. I think that he's not an
defensive
everyday catcher. He's a good guy to have on the team. I'm a little bit worried about Grandal, to be honest with you. I know he came up.
Took a major injury.
I know, Justin, you're a huge fan of him. I know how much love affair that you have going on with him.
I do like him a lot.
I'm very worried that maybe we've seen his flash in the pan, and maybe he's not quite. I don't know. I'm worried.
We'll have to see.
I'm worried.
I wouldn't be opposed to putting him in the minor leagues all year next year once he's healthy. I wouldn't be
Grandal.
Yes, I wouldn't be opposed.
Is he scheduled to be ready to go at the beginning?
Halfway through the year, he's scheduled to be ready to go play baseball. So midway All-Star break, he'll be in AAA. Real games.
So with that said,
could leave him in AAA though,
and it could force the Padres' hand that Austin Hedges may be the backup catcher.
I think Austin Hedges will be up by the All-Star break. That's my assumption, and that's my prediction.
If not sooner, because who else do you have?
If not sooner, and I know he'll be invited to spring training this year.
I think it all depends on how Hundley's playing.
I do too. And
Hundley's a solid catcher. But
he's a good defensive catcher. He's Studley back there. He's throwing out. I mean, he's not the best arm in the world, but he picks down some runners at times.
You got to also take into account how he calls a game. He does call a really good game.
He calls a great game, and the pitchers there love him. So
yeah.
So what do the Padres need to get to be in the playoff hunt, whether it's a starting pitcher, a left-handed power hitter, field, left field, two starting pitchers? I want to hear your guys' opinion of what the team needs most to become competitive.
Let's go three spots. What does the team need most in those three spots? If you had three acquisitions to make, pitcher, hitter, whatever you need, just go run down your three that would improve this ball club.
I think we need a scary power hitting presence in our lineup,
whether it's right field or left field or wherever,
or third base.
You're right.
I'm not opposed to trading Headley. To be honest
not either.
With you,
what you can get.
Yeah, and I'm not saying let's trade him for a third baseman. We have a third baseman right now, and he's playing second base.
But it's like you touched on. What's his value right now?
Exactly.
Yeah, we don't know.
I certainly don't think that we should give Headley away.
No.
But if we can trade Headley, and somebody out there wants to give us some really, really good prospects, or we can get somebody that maybe isn't fitting in on their team, but we need somebody that strikes a little bit of fear into the opposing pitcher.
With you. I think when they make out their lineups and the other team sees it, they got to go. We got to pitch around this guy.
Right.
Am I wrong?
No, absolutely. And with Chase Headley, there's so many different avenues you can go in a trade. We have tons of prospects, and they've already said it that we might not make as much of a splash in free agency, but we have a lot of pieces that we can deal to improve this team. You might see them move Chase Headley and a prospect to get even a better third baseman.
Right.
So, I mean, there's many of options there, and who says they trade Chase Headley for another third baseman? They might trade him for a power-hitting outfielder, for all we know, or another starting pitcher. A lot of it's going to hinge on these guys coming back from injury, I think, as well. We have a lot of quality pitchers right now, but a lot of them were hurt last year, and they're coming back from injury. So what do you really got? You probably won't know until spring training.
That's a good point.
What's your three that would upgrade this team?
In addition to what Jason's saying, I think to be comfortable with our starting five, I wouldn't mind them getting another quality starter. Somebody like a Bronson Arroyo. He's a solid 4.5. He's looking for a 2-year, $23 million contract. I don't really think that's out of the realm of possibility.
Spend money better. There's better places to spend our money.
It won't happen here, Josh.
But what I'm saying is somebody that is a workhorse that is
like a
not
John Garland,
that is not injury prone. We signed Josh Johnson.
We've made our move for that.
That's a big dog move we just made. It's like we had talked about, low risk, high reward. Coming off a couple bad seasons, not a lot of run support, injury. 2010, he won, I think, 15 games. He was a stud. His ERA was almost high twos, so into the threes, low threes. So that it's a guy you can bank on to eat up innings and give you quality outings. So he mixes in great with Ian Kennedy, Cashner, Tyson Ross. It's going to be a great rotation.
He's a classic San Diego Padres signing, because what he's going to bring is the opportunity to have a great season and sign a huge contract somewhere else.
Which is fine. And who we guys are talking about, guys? We're talking about Josh Johnson. He's got his 170 career games under his belt. He's 58-45 with a career 3.4 ERA. Awesome. The guy has been hurt the last 2 years. Right. So, I mean, it is a risk, but at the same time, they played it right where they have a 2015 option as well for the guy at $4 million.
Right.
If he doesn't make, I think it was 7 starts, that we can exercise his option for next year for only $4 million.
Cool.
Either way, I think it's a win-win for the Padres. You're not risking all that kind of money, and the upside is tremendous for this guy.
Well, it's I kind of compare it to a Jason Marquis signing. I'm not into quality of pitcher at this point in time in their careers, but Jason Marquis was off injury, and he came in and he was on pace to win 20 games like we talked about before he went down, and he was off injury too when we acquired him. So for me, it's like you said, low risk, high reward. If this guy goes out and kills it, right? I'm just hypothetically looking into the Padres' crystal ball going, man, this would be a magical season if Josh Johnson, Cashner, Tyson Ross, and
Ian Kennedy
gets on track. Holy
That's
cow.
what I'm thinking.
This could be one of the best rotations, and I'm not kidding you, from top to bottom. And like you said,
remember the old Braves rotation?
Yes,
that's what I'm thinking.
That was deadly, bro.
Yeah.
But no, definitely something to look forward to, and it's not out of the realm to go after a fifth starter. I just don't think you need to spend more money on the starting rotation.
Well, and another key spot, I'm not comfortable, honestly, with left field. I think he's another injury-prone guy, and Carlos Quentin, I think I would be much happier with us trying to solidify that position, because we need a starting 9 that's out there 80% of the time.
Right, like the Atlanta Braves and the big dog team.
We
consistent.
It's really frustrating when you have a guy that does have the talent of Carlos Quentin, but he can only go out there 2 games, sit 2 games, or 3 games and sit 2 games. It's really frustrating for him not to be out there all the time. He needs to be out there more consistent, and if he's not, I think you try to put a package together to move him and get somebody that can solidify that left field position, in my opinion.
I think that's easier said than done. I think, with a lot of these guys, one thing that we need to remember is what's the value. You look at Carlos Quentin, and he's a guy that is often hurt. It's going to be tough to move him, I think, in the offseason. Mm-hmm. The time to move Carlos Quentin, if you're going to trade him, is at the trade deadline if he's healthy and he's having a solid season, because he's a guy that's going to come in and help somebody make the run. Now, I'm hoping he's going to help us make a run.
No, where he's got value, though, is at the DH position. Yeah. He's got value in the American League.
Well, he knew what he was getting into when he signed an NL contract.
And we knew what we were getting into.
We knew what we were getting with his injuries and his power, though. They were banking on his power and his health.
He's got the type of power that can carry a team for a week.
It's ridiculous how good our lineup is when he's out there and playing.
He
plays a terrible left field. I've seen him make some great catches, but he takes some bad routes to some balls.
You know what he reminds me of?
Who?
Klesko.
Kind of like
Klesko is scary in the outfield, but you love to have him in the batter's box.
A clumsy Klesko. I agree. If you could keep a guy like that, like Jason said, for a run off the bench or starting, man, it just makes your lineup look that much more scary. Say we do get another power hitter that solidifies a certain spot, maybe a first base. What we don't know what's going to happen there.
If we get that other power hitter, then I'm okay with him being there because you have that other power hitter that's going to be in the lineup, majority of the time.
Like we had said
I would
earlier.
feel more comfortable.
Yeah, no, and say a guy you bring in a guy they're expensive, 30 home runs a year is very expensive to buy on the free agent market, right?
Right.
But 10 or 12 of those home runs are game changers and win you 12 ball games. You add that to the wins last year, you're in the playoffs. So
Right.
it's all about the big bat, and they can really make a difference down the stretch.
Well, the nice thing, even after the signing of Josh Johnson, we still have $20 million on the table.
A lot of money.
And so
And they want to spin upwards to the mid-80s. So
the Padres aren't done yet. I was listening to MLB Network, and Ken Rosenthal was talking about the Padres and Vasgersian. Vasgersian's still a huge Padre fan. He was talking so highly about the Padres.
I really miss him.
But Ken Rosenthal was saying to watch out for the Padres because they're not done adding to this team. And he says, this team has played very well the last 2 seasons with injuries. If they can be healthy, they're going to be very competitive.
Imagine if they go out for Bud Black and they get some players for him.
Yeah.
Oh, God forbid, Bud Black gets quality players on his baseball team, right? Am I wrong? That guy deserves quality players on
Absolutely.
his team. I feel so bad for him, man. He's a great manager.
We're going to take a quick break, guys. We'll be right back in just a few minutes.
Do you need help with your business project that is due? Maybe you need business cards to help your business stand out. We at San Diego Sports Junkies got you covered. SK Digital Imaging can do it all. Give our buddy Sean K a call, 858-408-0732. SK Digital Imaging, from business cards to the bigger projects, SK Digital Imaging and our buddy Sean K will get your printing done right.
All right, guys, we're back. I wanted to ask you guys a couple questions here. First one, Corey Lupke. Where does he start the season?
Honestly, Corey Lupke, I believe he will be in the minor leagues starting off the season. And the only reason is I think they tried to rush him back last year. And by doing so, he got hurt. Granted, he is throwing off a mound now. He's not playing in the Arizona Fall League, but he is throwing off a mound. I really think with the addition of Josh Johnson and what we have already in the starting rotation, I think you take it a little easy on Lupke, let him get a few starts in the minor leagues to really show that he's 100% back, and then you possibly put him in that number 5 slot.
Yeah, I think he'll be back. I think he'll be our 5th starter. I hope they don't make any more starting moves because I think we're solidified there now.
Yeah.
I think it's November now. He had all of November. He started throwing off a mound at, I think, beginning of November. So December, January, February. He's had 5 months to even just throw. So spring training's another extra month. That's going to be plenty of time for him to make a comeback and show velocity, change of speeds, everything they want to see in him, and make that decision if he'll be on the big roster. I think it's been plenty of time.
Well, and 2 years ago, Lupke was our bona fide number 1 starter is what they had him.
He was
they
our
had
Clayton Kershaw.
He had all the tools to just be the dominator and head up this starting 5. So if you bring him back with the Kennedy, Cashner, Johnson, and Ross,
that is stupid good.
Wow.
Yeah, I would be saluting a flag all the time.
Now, you got, potential starting pitchers. You got Josh Johnson, Ian Kennedy, Andrew Cashner, Eric Stoltz, Tyson Ross, Joe Wieland's coming back.
And he's playing in the Arizona Fall League, and they say throw him very well right now.
I was a big fan of his.
Me too.
And then Lupke and Robbie Erlin.
Robbie Erlin impresses me a lot.
So, all things considered, now, none of this happens like you think it's going to happen.
No, it doesn't.
Right.
But you're thinking if all of these guys progress from year to year, like all fans hope that they do, and none of them get hurt, that's going to be one hell of a decision to pick 5 guys out of that.
Here's something to think about. So, assuming they do progress and they are who we think they are, come the trade deadline, okay, hear me out. Come the trade deadline with what we already have in our rotation and those guys sitting there, if Josh Johnson can put a first half together, think about trading him to a contender, bringing these guys up, and solidifying the rest of your roster in another position.
Well, like I said before, when we get to the trade deadline, I want us to be saying, what do we need to add to make our run, not what do we need to give up. If you're making a playoff move, I don't care, unless Josh Johnson has completely shit the bed, you're not going to trade somebody away that's been contributing.
I'm not even, this trade deadline thing, All-Star break trade deadline, I'm not even concerned with that. I mean, for me, don't be surprised if you see a Robbie Erland, a Eric Stoltz be moved this winter meetings for quality relievers, a bat or two. Like you said, we just touched on all this depth we have. We have a lot of decisions to make, right? All these guys aren't going to be up at the major level, right?
They have a lot of hard decisions to make. A lot of hard decisions.
So you've got all this talent coming up through the ranks. So package these guys together. Say you need a Robbie Erland. Say you want to deal Stoltze and Erland to a team that they need depth, man.
Right.
Okay. Well, we'll take your stud second baseman, or we'll take your stud third baseman. That to me, they upped their value last season when they pitched all those innings and they worked the innings for themselves. They really put their names out there. So don't be surprised if some of these guys you saw and you were really impressed with are dealt, because we just signed Josh Johnson. If you look at our rotation right now, and Luke Key comes as our fifth starter, that's a damn rotation right there.
On paper, absolutely.
Oh my God,
that's the key too. It's on paper. It never works.
No, it does not.
I guarantee you, one of those guys gets hurt.
I hope
it's just the way it works.
Let's knock on wood, though. I mean,
all right, I got another name to throw out there: Cameron Maybin.
Ugh.
Cameron Maybin.
In my opinion, bye-bye.
He's healthy. He's healed.
Trade bait.
Doesn't he have the flu? I'm just kidding.
Trade bait.
Yeah,
he's one of those. I'm throwing up the air quotes on the radio right now, or on the computer here. He's the 5-tool player
I was just
that everybody talks
about. But guys,
about.
he's the 5-tool guy.
Where opening day,
He lost 3 of his tools though.
Opening day. Where is he? Where is he opening day?
He's at
somewhere else.
No, he's at Ace Hardware looking for his tools.
I don't think he's on the team personally. I think
he'll be here, but
I think he's either cut or traded.
I think you make a move and get rid of him. I agree with you, but I don't see how they can. He doesn't have any value. He is the biggest potential guy since Bo Jackson.
That's what they have to sell him on, is that potential.
Well, that's what they sold us on when we got him.
Yeah,
I'm actually going to go out on a little bit of a limb, go a different direction. I think he's starting in center field, and I think that he has a Padre comeback player of the year.
I don't know, man. Venable put on quite a show last year and really showed that his 5 tools finally came together, and this is the player that we thought he was going to be.
Why do we have so much patience with Will Venable and not as much with?
Because he hasn't been injury prone.
Because
he's actually been in there to play.
Will Venable in the last few years, though, if you take away last year, which had a fantastic year, he played good for a week, and then he played like shit for a month.
That's what he's done. Yeah.
But everybody's had a lot of patience with Will Venable. Me too, because I like him. I do like
Will
him.
Venable, a.k.a. Willie Mays at times, that guy is a stud when he wants to be. I can't believe how inconsistent he is.
Yeah.
7 years here? I couldn't believe it when I heard that.
See, that's what I'm talking about. Look at all the patience. Who's saying trade Will Venable? And now he's finally paying off.
I think we've been
and we signed him to a contract extension.
And shitty over the last how many years? I think they've just banked on him every year going, he could have 3 awesome months.
Yeah.
And they really shit the bed later in the postseason.
Cheap talent.
Right. No, and he hasn't been expensive. I think that's one of the reasons he's been there.
The difference with Maybin, and maybe this is why Jason may be correct, is we signed him to a fairly large
5-year
contract.
Deal, $25 million.
So we have a lot of money tied up with him, that's the one thing that may keep us from moving him. But with his injuries, man, and like Justin
but the injury
was
problem's
saying,
only been the last year.
The guy thinks he's Willie Mays. He thinks he's going to hit 40 home runs, and realistically, he needs to hit the ball on the ground and become Daddy Longlegs again and stretch those legs and turn a ground ball into a single, steal a base.
I got to think he must have done a lot of thinking last year, and I think he realizes that the clock's a ticking. But I really think that I think they're going to give him every opportunity.
You know what? You're right.
To be
they probably will.
And I think he's going to surprise us.
Offensively, I don't trust him. Defensively, he's a stud.
Oh, he's great out there.
He can steal bases like crazy. From that aspect, I love him. But I only love him if we have some production at a different position that we don't have currently right now.
And I think a big key to me is keeping a team gelled together. And I don't like to throw the term around. It's free agency is a great thing. You can retool at certain positions. That's awesome. But Buddy Black does such a good job, and he's a player's coach. So I think the more you keep this team together, and what they've already been through the past 3 or 4 years with the runs they've made and the hot streaks they've got on and the losing streak, I think the more you keep this team solid as a unit, we're going to benefit more and more. I'd love to see Maben do awesome. I would, but he's kind of like a Venable. He had his hot and cold streaks. He would do great for a month when he was healthy, and
that's when you see him doing great. You say that's why we signed him.
Yes,
but then he
those
just
catches.
He just never got. He finished really poorly, and then last year he just never. He got hurt a lot.
And we have the other aspect, the arguable MVP of the season in Denorfia. Does he get an opportunity to start full-time?
Well, I think Dino deserves the right to start full-time if he wins it in training camp and he shows what he's been showing. I really do. He can get on base. He has his speed. But
he's a great contact hitter, man.
People still dub him a bench player.
He's always, to me, been a fourth outfielder.
He has,
and he played last year like he deserved to start, but he's just always seemed like a fourth outfielder to me. I like him too.
I do too. He brings a grittiness to the ball club. It's awesome, but we'll see what happens. It's going to be, like you said, a lot of tough decisions next year.
All right, I got another name for you, Tommy Medica.
Ooh.
Tommy
Medica.
Medica.
Day. Where is Tommy Medica?
Everybody on Twitter has their lips wrapped around his Johnson,
including Justin. And they have to move Justin to the side.
And for the most part, I agree. From what he showed after September call-ups, I think that he deserves to be on the roster on opening day.
If he has
as a starter, no, but definitely a bench player. And if he continues to improve, and we would talk about this before the show, and I hate to admit this, but if he continues to improve and becomes that power bat that Justin so much wants to see at first base, do you move Alonso at that point and Medica becomes your full-time starting first baseman?
Well, is Medica really being used properly starting the season on our bench? If we can't find somewhere to put him, shouldn't we have him down at AAA? We got a guy like Logan Forsythe, who is the type of guy that you want to have on your bench.
And we lost Kotsay, so we have an extra spot.
Alexi Amarista is the type of guy you want to have on your bench because he can play multiple positions. He's not the guy you want starting out there every night, but you don't go into the game thinking, oh my God, Amarista's in the game, because he can pull something
and
out.
Medica did play a little bit in the outfield in September as well.
I was going to touch on
Guzman's another guy that you got coming off the bench.
I don't think Guzman will be on the team this year. Anyway, getting back to Medica, just a tad, I think if he comes into spring training at Tucson, he kills it. He hits for average and he hits with some power, which everybody does in Tucson, right? Mm-hmm. Just get the ball up. I think and I disagree with you. I think he turns into an Amarista for the time being. And look at the Carlos Quentin situation. He's always injured. You need a guy like Medica, like you said, Josh, that can play the outfield with some power and some pop. The guy really impressed me, dude, with his hitting. The guy strokes the ball, dude.
Absolutely.
He doesn't take weak swings up there. And he acted like he belonged in the major leagues. So that's another hit. There's a big quality in Jed Jerko and Medica.
Right.
A couple guys, they acted like they belonged here. They didn't act like Anthony Rizzo back in the day when he got up there and he was kind of like, and he went 0 for 55 when he first started, whatever it was. But yeah, kind of like deer in headlights. These guys came up here and wrecked it. So
well, and as far as what Jason's saying, in my opinion, I want the best 26 guys to be on my roster come opening day. And if that means Medica is that 26th guy, then I want Medica on my roster on opening day.
I just like the way I look at it is if he, you're always going to have guys injured. it's almost, to me, better to have him at AAA playing every day.
Put him on your 40, and if you're
have him go down to AAA, and then have him come up here, and you can plug him in.
You're correct, too. I mean,
I think he might be being a bit wasted.
You're right. I mean, he does need his reps, too. So.
Right, especially at the beginning of the year. I mean, you don't, when you start the season, you don't start working your bench players in right away.
No, right.
Everybody starts for a while.
Yeah, the first week, it's just solid 1 through 9 each night.
One more quick name I wanted to bring up, Jed Jerko. Now, I know it's going to be really hard to not talk with our take your Padre fan hat off for a second. What do you think about him this year? Do you think that he's going to take that next step, or do you think he's going to have a sophomore slump, which you do see a lot of people have?
He could initially have a sophomore slump because they have the book on him now. They have scouting reports, but I just think he has the raw talent and ability to continue the success that he had last year. Absolutely.
Okay, he missed a month of baseball with injury.
Yeah.
The kid can flat out rake. There's no sophomore slump coming this kid. I think he might struggle at times, like every hitter, but he's got the makeup of a gritty hitter. If he gets into a 3-4 game slump, okay, he'll come back with a big bomb and he'll take some pitcher deep and he'll get him right back on track. Remember, he came back from injury, had a little hiccup.
Had slump. That's what I actually liked that.
And then he straightened things out and he got hot again after he hit a bomb. I want to say it's off the Rockies pitcher.
They started pitching him outside a lot.
Oh yeah, no, he did, and he learned. He made
trying
adjustments.
To be over aggressive.
What I love about he learned on the fly, and that's why I don't think this sophomore slump will kill him, because I think he's just a good ball player, smart heads up player, gonna be great for us next year.
I think the fact that he got hurt, came back, slumped, then it's almost like he's already had his sophomore slump, even though it was his rookie year.
Uh-huh.
But the fact that he was able to adjust to the adjustments,
it almost was like 2 different seasons for him.
Yeah.
After the injury, I mean, really put it in perspective.
So, guys, we want to take another quick break, and then we'll finish the show off with our fans' wish list. Be right back.
Do you want everyone to know how diehard you really are? Do you want to stand out in a crowd? Well, us over at San Diego Sports Junkies, we got you covered. Go to sdforlife.net and pick up your diehard gear today. From shirts and hoodies to sneakers and canvas painting, sdforlife.net has you covered. It's time for you to be diehard.
There you go.
All right, guys, so we're back. I kind of want to talk about our free agent potential trade fan wish list, and I have a few guys written down, but before I get into that, do you guys have any names that you would like to see become a Padre?
Randy Johnson.
Randy Johnson?
Yeah, Cy Young Award-winning Randy Johnson and Greg Maddux from the 1998 ball club.
Yeah, the bird killer.
I'd like to see some more power from the first baseman. For first base side, I should say. I don't want to hate on Alonso. I love the kid. He's got a lot of upside. Power-wise, he hits for average. I just want to see a power-hitting first baseman like an Adrian Gonzalez.
Give us a name.
Mark Trumbo is on my wish list. I'd be bringing the trombone to Petco Park a lot.
Is that something that's attainable, you think? You think that's...
I think with the...
Is that a pipe dream, or do you think it's something that could happen?
I think with the money that we do have left and the trade pieces we have in place and the Angels' need for pitching is very apparent. They are one thing they are lacking, and it is pitching. They can hit themselves a 10 to 11 ball game, but their reliever is going to come in and give that 11th run up very quickly. So I think we have a lot of trade bait for the Anaheim Angels. If we can get a Mark Trumbo, he also does play outfield, folks. And I'm not just saying, I don't have to get rid of Alonso if he wants to play some left field. I'm sure he's an upgrade over Carlos Quentin out there. I couldn't see why he wouldn't be. But yeah, he'd be my number one guy. I'd really like to see some power.
And Mark Trumbo is one of the guys I have on my fans wish list, and I have it as Padres have the assets that the Angels need as far as pitching goes.
It works.
We were talking about it early in the show. We have a ton of starting pitching talent, and I'm pretty sure we have a ton of relief talent even in our minor league system, and that's exactly what they need. And if we can package a few of these guys together and get rid of Cam Maven in the process, we can bring over Mark Trumbo, I would be stoked.
I tell you, Cam Maven's coming back next year, baby. This year it's going to be his year.
You heard it here first. Jason Idmo's predict MVP candidate, Cameron Maven.
Personally, I hope Trumbo, if we do get him, is going to be an outfielder because I'm a huge Alonso fan. I don't think he's even scratched the surface on his offensive talent. I think he's a great defensive player as well. This guy 2 years ago broke a Padres record of like 50 some odd years for doubles. Granted, as Justin keeps saying, he wants a power-hitting first baseman. I want a guy that can drive and runs, and this guy can hit the gaps with the best of them. I think he could potentially be an 80 to 100 RBI guy if he can be in the lineup consistently, and we have other guys around him that are getting on base and producing as well.
Yeah.
When I complain about not enough power and not enough from our corner infielders, I don't necessarily need to see home runs. I don't need to see a 40 or 50 home run guy.
Right.
What I need is a guy that's hitting the gaps. I need a guy that's hitting clutch, and I need a guy that is driving in runs.
No, I agree.
And I don't have a problem with Alonso either. I actually, if I had to choose if we were going to get rid of Headley or Alonso, if I had to trade one of them, I'd rather they trade Headley, to be honest with you, and keep Alonso.
You know what's funny is now if you ask me this, if you would trade Alonso for Cecil Fielder, I'd say no. And why?
For Prince Fielder, you mean?
Prince Fielder.
We can't anyways because he's a Ranger now.
No, I know. But I'm saying there's a difference between what I like about Trumbo and the upside than there is with, like a guy like Prince Fielder. I like Trumbo and I like his game. He's very versatile. Prince Fielder just adds raw power and he strikes out a lot. Trumbo has a little athleticism and he's got more upside and he's younger. So there's, it just depends on the player. Alonso, yes, dude, I don't hate the kid. I think he's great.
Right.
But is he just going to be this, average guy, 275, 80 to 100? If he is 80 to 100 RBIs, I'll take that all day long. But he hasn't been, and he's been hurt. So let's see what he can do. Hopefully we don't get rid of him. But if we do, I won't be very upset if we get a Trumbo in his place.
I agree. I see what you're saying.
He's a trade. He is a trade piece. He's got a lot of upside too. If we really wanted to make a move,
I really do like him, but I would sure hate to see him just leave via free agency. I don't know how much longer his contract is right now, but if they're going to trade him and upgrade,
yeah,
whatever. I do like him, but I don't know. I'd rather
we can debate about that spot all day. So
one of the guys that I have on my fantasy wish list as far as hitters are concerned, and you guys already shot me down on this, but I'm still going to plug it, is the fact that Curtis Granderson, he's looking for a $3 or $45 million deal. I was originally under the impression this was going to be in upwards of $80+ million. When I heard that he was only looking for a $45 million deal for 3 years, why not give a shot? If you're going to pay to play, if the Padres want to be competitive, you got to grab your balls and make a play for a guy like Granderson, who is not overly priced and can definitely produce with his legs and with his bat.
Yeah, well, he actually stopped by Petco the other day, and I told him to take the 5 north up to L.A. because that's the only guys paying him, okay? You're out of your flipping gourd if you think we're going to spend $45 million on one player. The Padres don't work like that. I'm shooting it down because it's retarded.
You're retarded.
It's like a guy in a hot air balloon, and there's a machine gun. Done. Guy's done. I'm not saying you're retarded. It's a great fantasy.
Actually, you did say he was retarded.
I only do it in a friendly way because I love you, but,
my mom says I'm a very special boy. I'm not retarded.
If I had a wish list, I want Miguel Cabrera. I want Tim Lincecum and Barry Zito to package deal.
So what you're saying is...
You want unrealistic, Jacoby Ellsbury that's asking $140 million.
So you're saying Granderson is unrealistic.
He's very unrealistic for the Padres.
Right.
Market, payroll. They want to up their payroll to about the mid-80s this year. That was their promise to us, and I think they're doing a fine job. It's a fine start. But they don't have room for
we don't need
15,
to send,
16 to $17 million.
We don't need to send 20% of it to one guy.
No, and that's not the Padre way. Right. It never will be. You're gonna be the A's. You're not gonna beat them with your wallet. You're gonna beat them with farm system type players and somewhat additional pieces. Holes. Yes, sir. And that's the way you win games.
Here's the other maybe twerk to it is the fact that by getting somebody like a Granderson or a Trumbo,
okay,
It's somebody that the fans can get excited about.
Of course.
And by putting butts in the seat, you get more revenue, and that means
course.
2015 and beyond, you have even more money to spend. And maybe you're not so much the A's. Maybe you're slightly above the A's. You're in that middle ground where you can actually spend money to be competitive.
Look for the Padres to make another splash. I'm not saying they're. I mean, I know that's not what we were saying either, but I think they will make another splash. One more big free agent, and then maybe let the trade games begin. Then to solidify their bullpen, maybe to trade a guy away or just fill those needs. But I think there's one more big free agent, semi-big free agent.
You think it's a free agent, or you think maybe they trade some prospects for a big name that's already under contract?
I think that's a route they would go, but
that's more feasible.
I think there's one more, maybe a 2-year contract, $5 million, $6 million a season. I think there's one of those players out there for the Padres. If they want to make some noise with their batting and their lineup, $5-6 million a season is not out of the realm. Not out of the realm of a possibility for the Padres payroll.
Right.
$17 million a year is not feasible. So,
but
5, 6, 7
that gets you a 20 home run guy, and I think we need a 30+ home run guy in our lineup.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if we can get a 30+ home run guy through our own system.
Yes. Well, I think Jerko can be a 30 home run guy. I really do. And people might laugh at that, but he's got raw power.
I totally agree.
I think he can be 30 and 110 every year and play a solid second base for us.
I absolutely agree with you. I think he's still a couple years away from that.
Of course, he's still growing.
So, guys, thank you for joining in on the show. We're going to start mixing in some Friar Faithful shows here in the near future as things pop up and stuff, trades get made, interesting stuff for us to bring up and inform you guys on. Obviously, we'll get a little heavier on the show as the season gets closer, spring training and so on and so forth. But, we thank you guys for joining into the show. This is the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans.
By the fans.
And we are out.
See ya.
Do you want everyone to know how diehard you really are? Do you want to stand out in a crowd? Well, us over at San Diego Sports Junkies, we got you covered. Go to sdforlife.net and pick up your diehard gear today. From shirts and hoodies to sneakers and canvas paintings, sdforlife.net has you covered. It's time for you to be diehard. Thank you for following the San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans, by the fans. With Josh Taylor, Justin Smead, and Jason Eidsmo, we want you to subscribe to us on iTunes, follow us on Spreaker, and like us on Facebook. Also visit our website, SanDiegoSportsJunkies.com. This is brought to you by SK Digital Imaging and SDForLife.net. San Diego Sports Junkies, a show for fans, by the fans.